What's up guys, Devon back at it again with yet another Devon Explains entry. Today I will be ranking all of Monster vs. Godzilla's amplified forms from the strongest to the weakest, explaining why each form is above the one immediately below it, as well as debunking arguments for the weaker form whenever it is most convenient to myself. Now, I believe that it is the best time to do this, since all the GXK hype and hate has mostly died down. So people are, more likely to be reasonable about it. And before I get into the proper video, I gotta remind you, I want 1,000 subscribers by the end of fall. I'm making all these good-ass videos just for you to click 4 buttons. So proceed to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and then we're good. I'm gonna keep making them. Without any further yap, let's get into it, because today Devon explains which of Godzilla's amps is the weakest.
Or two, a devil wanted to kill me, but then I turned around and wanted the box, so it fucked off because, I'm literally Devon.
An honorable mention will be the Godzilla that defeated Shimo. As we know, Godzilla has amplified himself for threats in the past, and we also know a base Godzilla gets absolutely destroyed by Shimo. Getting into the actual ranking, we have number 1. Obviously, the burning one is the strongest. The reason he's superior to Spiral Ray Godzilla is simple mathematics, whereas the best arguable multiplier for Spiral Ray is being 20 times above his base. The most reasonable argument for burning at the peak of his abilities would be 1,000 times, given he one-shots a Ghidorah massively above this other Ghidorah who can charge up a 100 times base beat. He's obviously superior to supercharged Godzilla. I don't think anybody would, actually say anything against this. And the other two are below the Spiral Ray. Coming in at number 2, surprisingly for some of you, is the Spiral Ray. This guy is even simpler to explain than Burning Godzilla. He's
supercharged Godzilla.
Pink Godzilla's full power, a supercharged stacked on his evolution, and is what Godzilla uses when his pink form fails. His radiation is implied to be superior to any monarch knows of, and they know of all the lower forms of radiation. This does not apply to burning because there are no energy readings on him. And even the author dances around the idea that the Spiral Ray would be superior to burning. So, I think it's best to just put him below the burning one. Number 3, obviously, is Pink Godzilla. Directly stacking his power on top of power plant Godzilla's would make him stronger than him, and given he has a bigger energy source on top of a bigger baseline, it would have a bigger amplification and a bigger effect than nuke-amped Godzilla's. As well as the fact that his evolution stacks on top of the power plant body, which you can argue would make him 2 of power plant Godzilla's power, which would just make it even worse for nuke-amped, since, well, you're gonna see in a moment. He is also battle-hardened, has a better body for fighting, and can at will use the Spiral Ray. Now, anybody who tries to say that nuke-amped is stronger would just default to saying that nuke-amped had bigger radiation readings, even though Pink Godzilla is objectively powered by a larger power source and is in control of his power. It's not leaking out and causing explosions, so it's obviously not going to show as much. I mean, we have Godzilla. When he's sleeping, his power massively lowers, but when he's active and moving and using more of that power, his energy readings grow. So it's very obvious that Godzilla does not show the full scale of his energy all the time. Whereas the nuke-amped could not control his power, and it was going to kill him, so they're obviously going to sense much more energy from nuke-amped than they would from Pink. This does not justify the nuke-amped being stronger. This is all under the assumption that nuke-amped even has higher readings, given the fact that we have no real way of comparing the readings from GXK and the readings from KOTM. Even if you could debunk what I just said, it wouldn't matter. There is no way of comparing the energy readings to begin with. Basic logic, context, both of these things agree with the idea that Pink Godzilla is stronger than nuke-amped, not the other way around. And you really can't even say that, supercharged at the 6-minute mark is about equal to Spiral Ray being a little bit stronger. No. The energy reading statement is in context to this power ray having a different type of energy, quite literally stated, and his radiation being stronger than Nukamp's does not mean that Nukamp is relative. And given the prior context, he would not be relative at all. So Pink Godzilla, stronger than Power Plant, nobody's actually gonna say anything about that, and stronger than Nukamp, and well, number 4 is gonna surprise you. And number 4 is the Godzilla that was doing side quests. Now, the argument for Power Plant Godzilla is very simple, but it takes a little while to explain. It's also gonna illuminate further on what I was saying in the Pink Godzilla section, so bear with me now. We know for a fact Godzilla's durability grows and wanes as his power does. We see this with Scylla shredding him in Dominion and then doing nothing to the full scale of his power in GXK. MG only being able to damage Godzilla when the guy is completely drained of energy, when before, in the same fight, that same Godzilla was doing just fine. So we know his durability wanes with his power. Let's move on to the most weakened we've seen Godzilla, his state during Serizawa's sacrifice. So weak that Ghidorah would terraform the planet before he could recover. As such, his durability would be that much lesser, including his insides, because first of all, why not? And secondly, Mechagodzilla was most likely trying to harm Godzilla from the inside out and had to wait for Godzilla to be weakened, so there's obviously a link there. If he can only harm him when he's weakened, he tries to harm him from the inside out first, and we know his inside are relative in durability to his outside. We can therefore infer that Mechagodzilla was waiting for Godzilla's insides to be weakened, as well as his outside, just generally everything. So if his insides are weaker, this would provide a possible explanation for why the Serizawa nuke was killing him, and this would also explain why the peak of his power, even though he took in so much radiation that airplanes could not get close to him, unlike Supercharged, and so much radiation that he was boiling water, unlike Supercharged, was tanking that much energy just fine. So we can infer that Godzilla's insides simply could not manage this amount of energy. We can also just say that his spines too could not handle this much energy since they stockpile Godzilla's power and control it. So if his spines are weaker, they're obviously not going to be able to handle as much energy. But if they're massively stronger, they will be capable of taking in much more energy than a massively horrifically weakened Godzilla.
And while I've seen people say that the nuke had maximized radiation, and have not seen this anywhere, assuming that, we still know that Godzilla absorbed superior radiation, given the fact that planes couldn't get close to him, but could get close to the supercharged. And even if it had maximized, unquantifiably maximized radiation, the sheer difference between a power plant's amount of radiation and a nuke's amount of radiation is so vast that this unquantifiable boost is not enough to close that gap. And if you want to argue that MV nukes are extremely better than IRL nukes, then MV power plants would also be by necessity.
So, overall, what I mean when I yap about all of this is that the power plant amp was bigger due to possessing more radiation, which is the source of Godzilla's amps. And stacking a bigger amp on top of a stronger base would logically provide a stronger result. Now that I've said all of these facts, I can confidently say that Power Plant Godzilla is stronger than Nukamp. And obviously this would put the Nukamp Godzilla as the weakest. I've already explained why he wouldn't be stronger than Pink Godzilla or Power Plant Godzilla, but let's just put it this way. Even if Godzilla's death by energy wasn't because he was fragile, but because of another reason, we know Godzilla evolves and adapts over time. This is how he survives. So, if this one time he nearly died due to taking too much energy at once, and he has a history of taking a lot of energy to beat these stronger opponents than himself, it stands to reason that he would also evolve to be capable of handling more energy than he would prior be able to. So, GXK Godzilla would have a higher threshold for energy than KOTN Godzilla would, if you do not agree with the fragility argument. Even if you don't agree with me at all, the GXK base is stronger than the Serizawa state, and the power plant has more radiation and therefore a bigger amp than the nuke. This is not only based on logic, but it is also based on what is objectively shown and stated on screen. So, regardless, the power plant amp is by all means stronger than the nuke amp. This was Devon. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe because I'm gonna keep pumping up all these kinds of videos. I'm perfectly ready for all the hate comments, so just pull up on me. Without any further ado, without any further yap, I'll see you the next time.